Hey, what's up, Onward here. Today I want to talk to you guys about how to get started in Zwift racing. I am extremely new to it. I've not done it a bunch. So what I want to talk about in this video is more about how to get started. So find an event, what do some of the power-ups mean, and then in a future video, after I do it a little bit more, maybe in a month or so, I can give you guys some tips and tricks on racing. But for now, this video is solely focusing on how to get up and running racing in Zwift. So if you guys are new here, I cover cycling and travel content. Hit that like and subscribe button though for more content like this, and let's get into it. The first thing to think about is, what do I need to get started? So with Zwift racing, there's a few different categories, a few different events. Not all of them require power meters. So if you just have a dumb trainer that works regularly with Zwift, this will work for Zwift racing. But for some of the more competitive classes or some of the stuff that goes into Zwift Power, which I'll talk about here later too, you need a heart rate monitor, a power meter. So a power meter can either be crank-based, or if you have the Wahoo Kicker Core, this will cover everything except for the heart rate meter. So those are the two things that you really need to get started up and running. So it's not a lot, but one of the things that I would recommend along with it is to also have a phone mount for your computer. While I was making this video, that's something that I thought of, just because in the Zwift companion apps, you can launch power-ups and all that kind of stuff from there, or you have to have your computer kind of within reach, and then you can hit spacebar to do those power-ups. So that kind of transitions into what are power-ups. So if we go ahead and launch the Zwift companion app, under events, you can see all the different events available for the next few days. Basically up top here, you just go ahead and click and you can see all the events, you can see the time, you can also do some filtering. So usually I do group D because they don't have E, which is more of an open ride for racing. But then they also have different types. So you can do race, which is just like usually a crit race of what I've seen. A Fondo usually is just more of an open race. And then time trial, that's just you by yourself. I've not seen any time trials actually though. And then when you go ahead and click apply filters, then on here, that's the only thing you'll see. And then you can go ahead and get started by hitting sign up. So you just find your category, and then here's all those different wattages once you click there. And with all of these, basically this is your weight divided by your FTP in kilograms. So for me, it's like 100 kilograms over 180. So I'm in the lower class. But you can see all those on there. And that kind of gives you a better idea of how the competition is. So far, what I've found is everyone in these are kind of, to me, upper classer riders. So to me, it's a good way just to kind of do something different than just riding through Zwift. You can be a little bit more competitive. I just don't ever expect to like win or stay on the top of the pack. There's a few different power-ups that are available to you when you are racing in Zwift. And like I said earlier, basically what you need to activate these power-ups is either your smartphone, which you kind of want in an area that's easy to access while you're riding, because this might be done during sprints or whatever, depending on the kind of power-up that you can use, or your computer, which you can also use the spacebar to activate. So just depending on kind of your setup, what's easiest, those are kind of the two ways to activate them. Basically, there's a few different power-ups. I'll show the icons over here. And the first one is this one, which basically gives you an extra 250 experience points. There's the small bonus, which gives you about 10 more. There's the feather one, which makes you lighter. So that will increase that watts to kilogram ratio, and that'll make you go a little bit faster. There's a draft boost. This will increase the draft effect around you by around 50% for 30 seconds. There's the aero boost, which is like a little helmet icon. And this will basically reduce some of your drag. The other way that I've seen that, I think, is to change your bike with, you can buy it with drop points in there. There's the burrito that turns draft effect off for the riders behind you, basically, for about 10 seconds. Then there's a cloaking ghost, and this basically makes you disappear to other riders around you for about 10 seconds, and this is only available in events. Then there's a steamroller, and this will basically reduce your rolling resistance in game, so make you a little bit faster. And this is another thing that's only available in an event. And then finally, there's an anvil, and this just makes you heavier for 30 seconds, so that's not really something that you want to use like in a flat area, but this is really good for descents. So if you want to go faster in a downhill section, that's what that's for. And those are basically all the power-ups that you can use while in game. So one other quick note is to run the companion app with your computer or anything else. Basically, you just want to make sure it's on the same Wi-Fi connection as your other device, and that will allow you to just run the Zwift companion app and do those power-ups and stuff like that. Okay, so we have all the other stuff figured out. We know how to set up Zwift and find a race. We know how to have all the equipment that we need. And then we also know what all the power-ups are. So we have all the tools that we need to get into a race. So the last thing that we need to do is just hop on our bike and get going. So with this, basically once you start up Zwift, you will see that you join an event, but you just kind of, at least what I do, there might be a better way. If there is, let me know down in the comments. But what I do is I just pick a random place and I go ahead and click ride. And then once you're in there, it will say, hey, you have an event starting in 30 seconds, not 30 seconds, like 30 minutes, 25 minutes or whatever. And what you can do is you can either warm up on a regular course, or if you arrive early, you can actually get in the front row of an event. So this gives you a slight advantage, I think. And you can warm up there. And then once 0 hits on the giant clock, you can start going and you just race to the finish line. So that's up to you from there. Things that I want to show you guys is this actually shows you guys how to connect Zwift to like Apple Health and something like that. I got a few questions about that, but also another program called Zwift Power. So if you go to My Zwift and Profile Connections, what you find under there is you can see Strava, Facebook, all of those kind of things. But then this Zwift Power is actually how you can log into Zwift Power. And basically on Zwift Power, this is where you see all of the races that say that they submit to there. And there's a lot of data in here that I don't really want to dive into, but I wanted to show you guys how to get it set up if that is something you guys are interested in. If you guys have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comments. I look forward to seeing you guys out there for a race. But if you guys are new here, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. And I'll see you guys Friday.